much. I really appreciate it. I've known Ben for a number of years. First off, I apologize for the American, the Yank accent. Hopefully, if you don't understand me, just raise your hand. How many of you have heard of Kargo, know about Kargo in the room? A few of you guys, that's great. I mean, we've been around for 20 years. This is our 20th year anniversary. And I think some of the stuff that we're going to sort of share, hopefully will be really interesting, one of the most interesting sessions today. Challenge is, of course, our reputation in Europe is not quite where we need it to be, and I think we're back in Europe in a big way, and we'll drive the business over the next number of years. So it's our 20th year anniversary. Let me read you what we do. Kargo has consistently demonstrated the capability to deliver extraordinary experiences on the small screen using proprietary technology, design, and deep integrations into our highly curated supply. We've given it advancements in advertising, and we drive next generation formats. So what you're seeing on the actual left-hand side is something that we call branded takeover. Branded takeover takes 100% share of voice on the screen, and it uses actually the programmatic pipes to do that. So all of the slots on the page are actually taken up by this campaign with these unique novel formats. And we can drive these unique experiences toward that brand to make it look and feel totally different than anything else that you've seen on the internet, but it is fully programmatic. One of the things that we've tried to do to become a little bit more known is we launched actually the first drone show ever in Cannes. So if you were there, you can get a little sense of what that looks like. And we have a video for today. That you get a sense. And this is the kind of creative experiences we've tried to create. I don't know if you could turn it up a little bit. So you get a little sense of, the creativity that we're always trying to bring into ad tech. One of the lines that we use is there's ART in advertising, but there's no ART in ad tech. So if you can bring art to ad tech, you can start to transform the space that we actually all operate in. Everybody's so focused on audiences. The question is, how do you introduce those amazing sort of creative experiences to drive outcomes? In terms of who we are, in North America, we've been responsible for winning almost every single major award. And the reason that we're winning these awards is not necessarily because we're the first or we get there first. It's because we actually study the science of creativity on the page, and we do the research and the hard work, and these are all research projects that we did that prove out that creative truly does drive better results. And proving that, I think, is the hardest part of the ad tech space and the ecosystem. And that's something that I think as an industry we need to be focused on, which is how do you prove that the campaigns that you run actually drive better results? And so we believe that creative is the only part the customer sees. Everybody's focused on audience, but if you really think about it, 60% of the heavy lifting in terms of driving results is driving better creative. 75% of an ad's ability to leave brand-linked memories is due to creative, and this is from Ipsos. But then at the same time, how many companies are really sort of focused on that? So when you think about that stat, the focus of the industry should be as much on creative, and I would argue 75% of our focus should be on creative, with 25% being other things. And so how do you think about what are those creative experiences? And we're gonna go into basically things that we've seen work. So we think 7 out of 10 people don't actually look at these standard 300 by 250 banners. They just don't look at them. They don't see them. They're blind. But this is what our entire industry does day in and day out, media planning day in and day out. This is where people actually spend their time, and then they look at the spreadsheet for results. And so we're really thinking about how do you change creative and optimize creative from that standard asset into something that is truly differentiated and unique that grabs that attention on the page. And so as we thought about that, we started with branded takeover. Branded takeover takes all of that confusion and fragmentation off the page. You don't have a Boots ad followed by a Microsoft ad, followed by a Virgin Atlantic ad, followed by some other ad, and then you don't even see any of it because you're blind. What we try to do here for the brand is we try to take 100% share of voice and create a consistent storytelling for every slot on the page. That's the kind of defragmentation that we think drives true results. When we think about even Heineken on that page, when you have that 100% share of voice, you can actually drive those outcomes. When you think about across all screens, you can take that mobile experience and you can extend it to desktop and create these unique and unified experiences across all of these sites. And what it does is it drives 5 times better awareness compared to just running standard ads. 23.5% better lift in that awareness. And so you're actually using the creative and the formats and the pages to actually drive the results that brands are looking for. And so when you actually think about, well, what other things can you do from an innovative perspective that actually drive those kinds of results? This was a company that we bought that takes the social assets that sit in the middle of the article, and we believe about 20 to 25% of all articles on the internet have a Twitter post in the middle of the page or an Instagram post in the middle of the page. But if you think about it, that's where your eye goes when you're reading an article. You want to see that Trump tweet in the middle of the page because the article is all about something outrageous that he said. Or maybe it's your favorite footballer. How do you place the right messaging around that contextually? Exploring around that social canvas that exists in the middle of the page and create net new inventory that didn't exist before. Kargo, basically acquiring this company, figured out that creating that social canvas is one of the best places to grab attention on the page, and that is a pioneering format for us. And then when we think about like video, how do we make the size of the video with some call to action better? And this is a great example. Better than what's on the page previously. And so pioneering new video formats that are bigger than 300 by 250, we think actually grabs more attention. Those bigger canvases on the page actually grabs a higher share of voice and more memorability. And then we've said, okay, well, Kargo's been known for the last 20 years for mobile. How do we take that same innovation and spirit of transformation and bring it to other screens? And so we partnered with LG TV sets, and we built that same set of ad code and visibility into the LG TV set to be able to serve similar types of high-impact formats. This example is called the Wedge, and we're sort of bringing that to LG TV sets across the globe. So Microsoft Surface sitting on that operating system, Ben & Jerry's sitting in the corner on the operating system, Kit Kat sitting on that operating system in the hero slot. And we know that by creating these truly unique formats on the TV glass, we can start to create these new experiences that drive that same level of attention. And we're going to study it. We're going to drive those same results when we look at studying impact of these formats in these novel spaces. This is called the carousel. The idea that you can introduce video, you can bring your social video, you can bring your TV video, you can put it in the middle, you can put it on the left-hand side, you can put it on the right. That creative innovation in formats actually drives those outcomes and results. And then we're thinking about, well, how do you make it easier to build CTV? One of the things that you'll see here is this is a audio on the back. You can't hear the backtrack, but it's audio on the backtrack with simple imagery on the front. And the idea very simply is you can take simple graphics with an audio backtrack and transform that into CTV advertising. What's the cost and the timeline to create that? A week. Do you have a brand new CTV ad in a week? Absolutely. Could you create 30 or 40 CTV ads? Yes, you can. Can you optimize for the CTV experience that will actually drive the best results? Of course you can. And so you start to actually transform the optimization of outcomes in CTV because you're thinking about it in new ways. This is an example of a branded canvas where we're actually using video from Instagram. This is a square video on the left-hand side, probably their highest performing Instagram, but then we're actually transforming that video into a new branded canvas that can run in a CTV slot with a backtrack, an audio backtrack. Nobody's actually thinking about that. How hard would that be to put together? You have your Instagram video. The branded canvas probably takes a couple days to turn around and approve. You could probably make 20 or 30 or 50 of those, and you can optimize toward outcomes. So Parsec, since the UK keeps on talking about attention, was an acquisition that we did a year and a half ago. Parsec basically turns the entire industry on its head. It says, why are we transacting on a CPM? Shouldn't we be transacting on attention? Shouldn't we be only transacting on the amount of time that that particular ad was in front of the consumer? And I'm only going to pay for when that ad is actually in front of the consumer. So by buying them, we're saying to the industry, only pay for success when you put that right experience in front of the consumer. And we're actually allowing you to buy that time on screen instead of buying on a CPM where somebody probably didn't even see it. Then we're actually thinking about, okay, if you plug Parsec into a unit like this, the Venti unit like this, then you can say, oh my God, I am going to only pay when that video is actually on screen for a certain period of time. The breakaway is our highest performing unit. The breakaway sits on the bottom of the screen. It's sticky there. It looks beautiful. And we can drive amazing results. Better results than any other unit that we have. It goes from that full screen on the bottom to that right-hand side. People click on it, they see it, because it grabs their attention. Here are other examples of the breakaway across a number of different brands. This is the first time we're pioneering video commerce. We're working with Crocs and a whole host of other retailers to bring video commerce to TikTok. And we're saying, how do we pioneer to get consumers on TikTok to start thinking about commerce and brands, to actually start buying those brands? And the idea very simply is, where Kargo was an expert in mobile, how do we bring all these screens together into a unified universe for the consumer where we can actually break through with amazing creative, grab attention, and get those consumers to purchase? And we try to do it in all the best places. We're very careful about curating our supply. In fact, we only want to work with the best suppliers that passed our scorecard. In fact, every piece of content that we put across this larger SSP universe of 100 billion impressions, we put through Moat, we put through NewsGuard, we put through Human to make sure that it's qualified traffic, we put through IAS. So we've built a very carefully curated set of publishers that we're working with to ensure that only the best publishers, places, and people are actually seeing all of the time and attention we put into this curated creative to drive those results. And we think that by putting the scorecard together, and the industry should be doing this at large, we can drive the best results. And so we've thought rigorously about that. And the last thing I would say is contextual is the new data. In this new world, contextual will drive the results. And so the question is, how do you use cohort intelligence, and I don't have time to get into it, to actually drive, in a post-cookie world, the kinds of outcomes that we need to drive? Creative science, I would say, is the other side of contextual, which is how do you drive the results from the creative that are measurable to ensure the best results? So it's results from creative and driving the creative optimizations to get the results you need, and results from cohort intelligence, which is contextual, to drive the results that you need. Putting those two things together in a post-cookie world will, I think, lead us into the future, broadly speaking, as an industry, to actually drive the kinds of results that brands will look for when Google eventually deprecates the cookie. The last thing I'll leave you with is, I've been doing this for 20 years. Everything changes every year, all the time. And so we've come up with an adage inside the company that we think applies to the entire universe of this industry, which is really next never ends. And so whatever you're doing right now, you're going to have to evolve it and think about it. You have to be open to it. You have to be ready to innovate. And I think if you have the right partners and you drive the right results, you can actually innovate within this extraordinarily changing and dynamic industry that we all love and adore. That's why we're here. And I think that will help us all get to where we're going, which is much better, highly performant advertising that will drive the kinds of results that all of our clients and all of our partners are looking for. Thank you.
Very much.